funny how we didn't know really about anything we were doing, except that we were kind of a club band that did our own material. And it was just that the material was maybe different at the time, because it just came from one source, and I wasn't too influenced by, pop radio at the time and that kind of thing. And I wanted to make records, but I was never thinking in terms of selling a lot of records to people and stuff. I thought we'd be like a cult band. I was not prepared for the record to take off like that at all. I was happy that it did. You get used to failing a lot, and you get used to coping with it. It becomes kind of easy. And then all of a sudden, being accepted and selling a lot of records takes a little adjustment. It took me a good 15, 20 minutes.
Rick Ocasek's taste in women and men shows no prejudice whatsoever.
I like beautiful women, tall, thin, beautiful women, fat, little, ugly women. I like all kinds of women. I'm always attracted to the opposite sex, or I'm attracted to both sexes, actually. But I don't like beautiful men. I think I like weird men.
Not to mention his best friend's girl. Even with their debut album shooting up the charts, the Cars' first tour was less than ideal.
The first tour was long and grueling, and it was, in some places, still small clubs. It didn't get to the large venues for a couple, at least until Candy.
Along with the arrival of success comes the need for an image. For some.
I don't know what my image is. I really don't. I'm just the way I am. I'm not really into like the show business part of it. I do try to keep it light. I really do. And I don't get hung up on the success of it or prodded by numbers. I don't know that I'm so even keel on the inside as I am on the out. I think to some people I appear sort of calm and level, but I think maybe on the inside I often wonder if I'm actually gonna lose it or go over the edge.
Despite the huge success of their first 3 albums, the Cars had not been able to obtain a top 10 single. Then, in 1982, the title track from their 4th album, Shake It Up, shot up the charts to the number 4 slot.
Shake It Up is just a happy little pop song, shake it up and dance around. There's no real deep thing in Shake It Up. I write a lot of songs when I do sit down to write, at one time. I write a dozen or so. And then I do that a few times a year. I can't always do it, I don't wake up in the morning and say I can write from 9 to 3. But when I'm in the mood, it's almost like I'm just continually doing it, But I do have to be in a mood to write. It's not like I can write anything on commission, ever. If anyone ever says, I need a song for this movie, or I do this, or it's just impossible for me to do that. It has to be off the top of my head.
The Rick Ocasek definition of rock and roll.
Rock and roll is absurd. It's you stand up and scream into a piece of metal and bash your hands on some, piece of wood with a bunch of strings on it and scream to people and say words, It's you can minimalize it down to nothing. But ultimately, it has an effect on people. And, I think we're all just generally affected by music. It's a funny thing to have in life. It's just there, music is around. It's one of those things, music. Art, food, it's part of life.
Heartbeat City, an album the Cars chose not to record in America.
The reason that we did go to England was to get away from the distractions in Boston, our hometown, and just for an environmental change and for inspiration, and all those things combined.
And one result of that combination was a song for summer, Magic.
Summer's obviously my favorite time of the year because you can go outside, without your clothes on, and I love summer, the whole attitude. Everybody seems to be on vacation, even though people do work. And, I sort of picture, driving down the beach, along the beach or something, and just having all the sort of odd romantic relationships, things that happen to you in the summer, that never last. But they're good for the summer.
I always thought that was a good thing about the Cars, that we had 2 vocals. It just happened that way because Ben and I always traded off, or just, you sing that one, I don't feel like doing that one, you sing this one. And it's still that way, when we do a record, we just go, go ahead, you sing that one. It's not like, I want to be the voice on that song. It really doesn't matter to me, who sings it, if I sing it or he sings it. If it's a little quirky or more stylized, I'll usually sing it. If it's a little more melodic or something, Ben's got a good low voice when he uses it.
One of the songs that Ben sang became their highest charting single yet, The Beautiful Drive.
I wrote that in a hotel room in Chicago on a little Yamaha keyboard. It got more grandiose when we recorded it, of course. Ben did the vocal on that. People think I did it, but I couldn't sing that well. That sounds like a great opening track for the tour, doesn't it? Just for that intro, I'll probably even have to use tape, because there's no way to get like backwards echo unless you actually record it backwards. You know, especially to have something precede what the vocal says.
Rick Ocasek.
Someone mentioned that I was a woman hater, and something couldn't be actually more opposite than that. If anything, I feel like I have a good understanding of women. At least, if it's anything, you know, it's men that I have trouble with. You know, dealing with those attitudes of that. You know, I'm more sympathetic, I think. And really, in a lot of my songs that are women-oriented, I'm basically saying, you know, here's how you're getting screwed over, or whatever word I can use on the radio, because you're getting taken advantage of.
In the fall of 1986, Rick Ocasek took some time off from the Cars to release his creative energies through a different vehicle, a solo album called This Side of Paradise.
The only thing is about doing your own record is you just don't have to answer to anyone. And that's probably the only thing that attracts me to it. I have all these like strange ideas about how I should do it, you know. And then I find myself sort of constructing the songs, you know, and getting them to where I want them to be without even thinking about it, because I guess I'm sort of just interested in hearing things get arranged, and I get excited at every new part. If I would have done the record in a month, I would have only had a month to think about all those things that went on the record. I think the fact that I did it over a longer period of time gave me a chance to say, well, you know, that doesn't really work. Let's do something else there. Or just to try ideas at more length. I tried to see if, you know, time was quality. Keep on laughing. It's just when you really think that things aren't going so well for you, you know, you just have to really be able to smile in the mirror at yourself all the time. You always have to laugh in the mirror at yourself. Or life, period. You know, you have to keep that sense of humor. Mystery I like too. Some people don't like to find out what people are really like, because it destroys their sort of illusion of them. It's like when you meet a star and you find out they're a normal person. You can't believe it. I mean, you just want them to be the godlike figure you thought they were. But I haven't really met anybody who is. And I've, like, you know, at this point met them all and thought that many people were. And my illusion was always destroyed, so I've always been in love with the mystery. Originally, my intent was to not have any of the Cars on it. Not for any reason except that I thought, you know, why should I mean, I'm doing this record on my own. And then I started to think, well, you know, the fact of the matter is, I mean, I really respect the Cars, and I want people to know kind of that I do respect them as musicians, and I wasn't just shutting them out. It got to be where, you know, Cars would drop in to hear what was going on, and then I kind of would feel like, well, geez, why don't I have Ben sing on backgrounds on this, you know? I mean, we've been playing together for 18 years, you know, why not? I finally ended up discovering that I had 4 of the Cars on the record.
And with Greg Hawkes on keyboards and bass, Elliot Easton on guitar, and Ben Orr on background vocals, here's True to You.
I don't want to put a band together to tour this record. I'd just as soon perform at the Cars, you know, instead of taking the time to put another band together. In February, I'm going to start a new Cars record. I have songs now, and I probably will write more, actually, before, but I do have enough now that I could do the record now. Right before I'm ready to do a record, I always get a little crazy and say, well, I better just, like, one last time, you know, to write some more stuff and see what else I come up with, and invariably I use usually half of those songs that I wrote because they're new. I love to do new things all the time.
Profile 86 is produced in New York by Taurus Communications as an exclusive presentation of NBC Radio Entertainment.